Hello, welcome to Inside Out Alignment, a platform for self-discovery, bringing you guests who will be here to tell you about their life journey and make you understand that you are worthy just the way you are and that you are able to create a life you absolutely love to live. I am your host, Mary Tapper, and today I have Suzanne Taylor with me, a life and business optimizer, a coach, and strategist. Thank you so much, Susan, to be here today with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
Thank you. I know we usually start our day, people set an intention, maybe prayer and something like that to start the day going.
hmm
So I would love us to start with you wrote about positive mindset. So how do you prepare your day or what is positive mindset?
For me, it was really about deciding how I want to show up every day,
Okay.
um, how I want to step into my life, whether it's my relationships, whether it's my work, whether it's my family, and really living up to that expectation I had for myself of
Right.
showing up as vibrant and energetic and happy and connected. And that was a decision I had to make routinely every morning as I was going through some life struggles
Mhm.
and still showing up a happy person.
Right.
So for me, that's what positive mindset was about. No matter what struggles were happening in my personal life, whether it was grief or relationship changes or losing a business or divorce or infertility, I mean, the list could go on and on, but I'm still a happy person. And once I discovered why that was, I'm such a scientist at heart. I found positive psychology and I was like, oh, that's why I'm still a happy person. I'm resilient and I have this internal compass of bouncing back from life's challenges and discovering how I did it, why I did it, that it's actually something I could teach people. And that's literally what changed my life.
Beautifully put. And I just want to bring this up, and that is contagious because just
Yeah.
your energy and the way of saying it, it's quite like you feel the energy, you need feel that connection.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, and since the first day I sent you, we communicated,
hmm
I felt that connection. It's not about being right there with me. It's about that spirit, that energy that comes from that person. So depending on that mindset, the person's mindset, the other one can actually feel that. And that is a great place to be. Thank you so much.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I, I strive for that. Like I want that to be something that I consciously create.
hmm
So, being present with the person that I'm with, whether
hmm
it's, messaging them, talking to them, being here on video, doesn't matter. I want to be right here with that person, whether they're a client, whether they're an interview, whether they're just a networking connection. And I guess it's curiosity about other people too, I'm not sure.
I think it's just being you're conscious of others as well. You're not just self-centered. I think it's being conscious of the other people and just being that human being because our
Mm,
humanness allows us to be like that. And because you
yes.
tapped into that that right place, that real essence. So and working on it has made it to become, you're
Mhm.
not. And that
Yeah,
is
it's
great.
it's
Yeah,
it's not an easy journey to really be okay with who you are as a
definitely.
person and all the challenges that you've been through and
hmm
not let those challenges define how you show up right now.
And that is like what I have also learned working in, having to go to work. Sometimes you have people who come in, maybe they come in with this attitude as if somebody has something to do with whatever is happening in your personal life.
Mm.
And it just frustrates the atmosphere, and you feel people like just back up, and it's like we're trying not to do this or that because this person is really in a bad mood,
Hmm.
and that actually affects our output and how others look at us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but working on ourselves just the way you're doing or the way you've done for so long, and knowing that whatever is happening, you have to leave it right there, and then you don't need to like bring it out to other people. You handle it. You take responsibility,
Well,
and that is good. Yes.
that's a huge one.
Hmm.
Um, and I would love to say a little bit about taking responsibility for your
Sure.
own failures and your own mistakes.
Hmm.
And I've made some huge, huge mistakes. And I
Sure.
remember early on in my coaching career, one of my very good friends said to me, how are you ever going to be taken seriously as a life coach with all the, and she used some foul language, which I won't do here, all the mess ups that you've had, like all of those mistakes. You've been married 3 times, you couldn't get pregnant, your parents are deceased, you had so many failed relationships, you had a multi-million dollar business that you lost in a divorce, like all of these things. How can anyone take you seriously as a life coach? And I looked at her, and with all the confidence in the world, I said, that's exactly what makes me good at what I do, is
Beautiful.
because if I'm sitting across from a woman who is in an abusive relationship, I don't have to tell her my story to feel what she's going through. I can just show up not with compassion, but with my courage and give her some of that. And
Yes.
if it's a failed business, yeah, I hear you. I understand. And what would it be like to start over with all of those lessons intact and not make those same mistakes again? It's just information.
Thank you. I love that. I love that. And that
Yeah.
is what is actually needed when we have a failure. Mostly failure is just looking back, as you said. What
Yeah.
happened? Where did I, fall? Why
Where
did
did
I fall?
I, where did
Right.
I
Yeah. Ask
not,
those powerful questions,
yeah,
because those are stepping stool for us to be able to move forward and take, more action, which is beautiful.
yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
of course.
Now, losing a multi-million dollar business. Can you tell us a little bit about that, your journey?
Wow. It was such an incredible time in my life of starting a business with my ex-husband. It was his idea. I can't take credit for the idea, but I was kind of the back end of the business, the accounts payable, the inventory, the franchise agreements, lease agreements, and we grew that business very, very quickly, very, very quickly. From $3,000 we started with, and at the end of the first year we had done $1 million in sales. And that's about taking $3,000 worth of inventory and reinvesting. So it's a really interesting lesson there about not taking profit out of a business for the first year and taking all that profit and investing it back into inventory. lesson number one. Lease agreements. I got my real estate license in that time, so I could understand rental and purchasing agreements and, rental properties and all of that. So lesson number two.
Right.
And then we franchised the business ourselves with an attorney and didn't have a ton of money to spend on that. So again, lots of lessons with the attorney, the whole process, learning how to do it, what needed to be done. And ultimately what happened, and it's super personal story that I don't share very often. My ex had a drug and alcohol issue that I was kind of naive about. I was young. I was 24 and really had no experience with that lifestyle.
Right.
So I was very sheltered. My parents were very protective and I was a little naive at that age. And what I discovered between 24 and 27 was, a really serious drug and alcohol issue.
Yeah.
And without going into the illegal aspects of what was happening, I realized that I cannot be a part of this. So my values and morals were being compromised on a daily basis. And it was almost like, so all the money was great.
Right.
I mean, it was amazing to go and buy a car and just write a check. It was amazing to have a house that was paid for. But my morals and values were being compromised every day. And it was like I had to make this choice. Who am I? Am I a person that shows up every day and puts blinders on and doesn't see the bad habits, the bad things happening? Or am I going to stand in who Suzanne is? I apologize, my dog's barking at somebody at the door. And I really had to decide who is Suzanne and what is she going to tolerate for money? And the ultimate choice was I ended the relationship, which meant if I stepped away from the business, it all fell apart. And to this day, 25 years later, 30 years later, showing my age here, 30 years later, I could still be stuck in that was my fault because I stepped away. And some people still believe that. I had to make the right choice for my own survival of who I am as a person. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And the decision happened in 5 minutes. It was literally a defining moment in my life. We talk about those defining moments in our lives. And my best friend was getting married and I was in the wedding. And we walked into the reception and my parents were there, still living at the time. And I looked over at my dad and I hadn't seen him in like 6 months. And it was like all of a sudden I knew that I was not showing up as the person they raised. So I needed to fix that.
Wow.
And yeah. I mean, I can remember standing there and just looking at my parents and saying, ugh, I'm feeling like I'm going to disappoint them if I continue showing up like this.
Intuition.
Yeah.
Intuition.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then listening to it. And listening and following through.
Yeah. And that's what you did.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we feel like Money is everything, but we forget that we are the people making that money. Without
Yeah.
us, the money will not be there. So,
Yeah, and there was like a lack of integrity, a lack of values and morals that I was raised with. If I continued to turn a blind eye to what was happening behind the scenes of the business,
mhm,
and this decision, I had to start over.
right.
100% started over with nothing. I had to walk away from, you know, a big paycheck and a very expensive car and sell my home to pay off debt and start over. And I had to be willing to do that to preserve who Suzanne was as a person.
Wow. That is a courageous
It
step
didn't,
to take.
it did not feel that way at the
It
time.
didn't feel no that way.
No.
I think it didn't feel that way at the time because what you were looking at were your values, your core values, you who you were as a person.
Yeah.
It mattered to you more than anything else. And looking at your parents or your father, as you said, you knew that you were failing them in some way.
Yeah.
And you did not recognize yourself as that daughter or that girl that they raised.
Yeah.
And you had to just make that final decision or step that you took. And
Yeah.
that is beautiful. So
Thanks.
after that, how did you bounce back?
Whew, well,
How
it was
did you like
definitely
manage all that, that time to be able to get back together and be able, how did you do it?
just one step at a time. Seriously, it was, great friends, uh,
Okay.
great, great support system with my parents, who totally rejoiced in my decision to take my life back and step
Excellent.
away from that relationship and that business.
Mm-hmm.
And basically not being afraid to start over, being excited by the chance to move into a new home and decorate it. And I had a great career to step back into. At that
Mm-hmm.
time, I was a dental hygienist for 20 years. So I had kind of reduced working in that capacity, but I could go right back to it full
Okay.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily I had that job that I just literally, and back then we're talking early 90s, I
Mm-hmm.
I just looked in the paper, or I don't think I even looked online. I think it was newspaper,
Right.
and I found 3 jobs. I picked the one closest to my house. I got it, and I worked there for 15 years. And
Beautiful.
it literally saved me. Having a place to go every day, responsibility, a great paycheck. I moved to that town, started over, cute little house. I rented it, I didn't buy it.
Uh-huh.
And I was driving a $3,000 car, nothing fancy. It was paid for.
Right.
And then I got a puppy, and that puppy grounded me and kept me coming home instead of going out all the time. And the puppy helped me
Wow.
grow up and be more responsible and more self oriented. I have to take care of my house and my dog and my car. And I think that's when my whole personal development journey started. That's when I started going back to school. And I think just being alone and being okay with being alone was huge.
Wow. Isn't that beautiful too? Sometimes people feel like I just don't want to be alone. But that is usually like the core, like that time that is often necessary to be able to, really sit back and have some real good self-reflection and be honest with yourself and have some great conversation, which is a good place to be at certain
Oh
times,
yeah.
especially in a situation like that. And
Yeah.
I really admire, your resilience, your tenacity, your um, intuitive mind, and making that decision to move
Thank
on
you.
and living life on your own terms, because that's what you get.
Yeah. I mean, well, I didn't have any of that vocabulary back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, once I started my journey into studying positive psychology,
Uh-huh.
um, I was a fitness and nutrition coach in the beginning. So I was still working as a dental hygienist, and I was teaching fitness classes at a local gym and loving it. And it was a hobby. You don't make a lot of money teaching fitness classes. So
Sure.
it was just, oh, if I'm going to exercise, I'm going to get paid to do it. And
Right.
I'm going to have fun. I'm going to make the classes fun. And that led to nutrition coaching. And then I figured out that 90% of what I was doing with my fitness and nutrition clients was mindset. And let me figure out why I have this massive amount of willpower, why I have motivation, why I have resilience, but I didn't know the words.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a teacher of positive psychology, and he said to me, "You embody all of this already, and I teach this class. Would you be interested in taking your nutrition knowledge and being my TA, my teacher's assistant, for this 10-month long program? You get to take the program for free, but I need you to cook the meals for people, like bring the food
Oh,
for the on-site weekends." And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I get to feed people and take positive psychology. Okay, twist my arm. And the very first day, he started talking about bouncing back better than before. And I was like,
hmm.
I've done that. How many
I
times?
can relate to that.
Interesting. And then he called it resilience. And then he had us take a test on our character strengths. And it's called the VIA character assessment. You can take it for free online. It's amazing. And this test basically takes your character strengths. Psychologists have discovered, the positive psychology movement has
Mm-hmm.
discovered there's 25 core character strengths that we all possess in some degree or another. And this test actually puts them in order. And I mean, I think there's a million unique combinations of the strengths in order. And just because a strength is at number 25 doesn't mean you're not good at it.
Mm-hmm.
It just means it's something that doesn't come as naturally to you. So I started doing that test with my clients, and immediately I was able to help them quicker because I knew what their strengths were. So imagine if you're, teaching somebody who doesn't speak English,
Mm-hmm.
and you're teaching them in English, it's going to take them longer to learn. It's the
Definitely.
same with our character strengths. So for myself, it was humor, love of learning, and resilience. Number 4 was compassion. And number 5 was a zest. Like that's that energy
Energy.
you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, well, this is interesting. I use humor all the time.
Right.
So that's something that just comes naturally. Sometimes it's a little off color humor, but those who know me get it. Like they get my
Yeah.
humor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that day realizing, oh, there's nouns for what I do. I'm resilient. I'm motivated. I can create my own willpower. Well, now how do I do that? how have I done that in the past?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I use that and teach other people to do it?
Wow. You have a great journey, and a
Thank
journey
you.
that inspires,
Thank
that
you.
yeah,
Thank
a
you.
journey that, you know, when you talk about it, I know many people out here will relate to it. They will feel like it might not be, the same thing I've been going through, but this, if she could do that, then I don't have any excuse.
Oh, that's like the greatest gift,
Yeah.
to give that to another human being,
Mm-hmm.
to expose somebody who doesn't have someone like that in their lives, to be that cheerleader, to be that encourager, to be that motivation for somebody. That's like, I can't believe, I have to pinch myself sometimes and say, God, this is what I get to do for a living. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's amazing. And as I continue to evolve and grow my business, I just pass it on to my clients are doing the same thing,
I
which is
mean,
so amazing.
it should be, because it makes you even more fulfilled, knowing that you're
Yeah,
changing other lives, you're making a great impact.
yeah,
And that is what life is all about.
it
Because at
is.
the end of the day, let me say I'm 90 today. What if I lay down, I'm like, okay, I'm retired, and you're looking back, what did you do in your
Hmm.
life? And that is something really beautiful to look at and to be like, whew, I
Yeah,
did my part. So that's beautiful. You're doing a great job.
thank you.
And I just want to like really draw the attention of listeners that it doesn't matter what they're going through. They should know that there is help out here, just like you're here and you are holding other people's hand and helping them, cross that bridge and being able to create something that they love. That is the reason why this platform is here, to make
Mm,
them understand that they are not alone, that they have support, and all they need to do is reach out and seize these opportunities.
yeah,
It's here not just for us to listen, but also to take action, to know that we are not alone. Somebody's here. And just like Suzanne is here, others have been here. Reach out, because I know
yeah.
you guys out there, you connect one person's story or journey, you're going to relate to one of these people. So there
Yeah.
is no excuse, and this is not really the time for any excuse, especially with this unprecedented time, with all that is happening. I think it's also an opportunity for us to sit back and really think,
Mm,
have some really critical conversation with ourselves on what we've been doing, and being able to take, that bold step, and being able to create the life that we really want in our life, the life that we want, the life that that has been, sometimes we have these longings, but because we are so distracted, we tend not to pay attention to them. So this is more a time for us to pay more attention, to pay attention to those feelings, to those longings, and being able to move forward. Thank you so
yeah.
much, Suzanne, for
You're welcome.
uh, sharing that with us. And I also want to say, during this time, I know many have lost their loved ones, and it is a more maybe a difficult time, not being able to have people around,
Mm,
yeah, you lost your parents as well.
hmm.
So how the way you were able to handle that and to get out of that situation, or I know it never, we really never, get out of it, but managing it and being able to still move forward. How
Well,
have you been able
first I'll
to take care of
share something I heard Michael Bernard
it?
Beckwith share about grief,
Okay.
and it really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that ever goes away.
Sure.
It's not something that you get over.
Yes.
It's something that you pack in a suitcase and you carry it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it like that yes, of course, I'm sad. There's a part of me that misses them every day. My mother passed away when I was 35, so I was not married. I did not have children, and I was on the phone with her when she passed away. And I could take that into a horrible story and a horrible downward spiral. But luckily, I was able to say, thank God I called her at 4 p.m. instead of my normal 7 p.m. when I got done work. A patient canceled. I had a break in my schedule. I was driving home to let my puppy out. See, again, this puppy brought more awareness to my life. And on that drive home, I decided, let me call my mom and wish her a happy birthday, because it was her birthday, instead of waiting till 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could be upset that I called and she had a massive stroke while we were on the phone. Or I could say, a patient canceled. I had a puppy at home I needed to drive home to let out. And I something made me call at 4 o'clock instead of 7. And I got to talk to her before she passed away. How lucky am I? How lucky am I that the universe stepped in and gave me an open window, a reason to drive home, a reason to use a phone. Like, you can't line up stuff like that. So while, of course, I was devastated, of course, I cried for days and immediately got on a plane to Florida and helped my dad through that situation. But I also was so thankful that I got to have those last words with her. How many people don't get to have that?
Thank you.
And I think just staying in that gratitude for
Mm-hmm.
having a great childhood and a great mom and the opportunity to say, happy birthday, I love you, one last time. And I can talk about it now without crying. That didn't happen for a while, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It took a while for me to be able to tell that. I still get goosebumps every time I
Sure.
tell it, but I can tell it without crying and without getting upset, because I feel so fortunate that I got to make that phone call. Thank you, right? Thank you.
Yeah. 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 And thank you so much for getting vulnerable with us,
Yeah,
getting real with us. I
yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Our memories, those beautiful memories, they live on.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah. And we have a choice with all of our memories to decide what they mean for us.
Yeah.
And we can choose that they mean, my mom died while I was on the phone with her, and poor me, and how horrible is this? How tragic is this? Or I'm so thankful that I got to say happy birthday and I love you before she passed away. And that's what I choose. I I chose for my brain to think of it that way every time I think of it.
Definitely. And that is so important because it's really not about what happens. It is more about how we respond to
Yes.
things that happen in our lives.
Yes.
And that is so crucial.
Crucial, because
It is.
it's all up to you
Mhm.
to live from the inside out rather than the outside in.
Yeah. Thanks again. Thanks again. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. You talked about eating clean. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that? What do you mean by that?
Well, eating clean is well, something that I've discovered over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as long as I do it 85% of the time, 90% of the time, I love myself a good cheeseburger and some French fries and a beer. I'm not going to lie. But eating clean has really changed my mental outlook. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody's heard of the gut brain connection. And when I eat foods that are nutritious and whole and unprocessed, I can think clearer. I can make better decisions. I have more energy for the people in my life, not only work, but my family. And I just decided about 10 years ago, and it started when my mom passed away when I was 35,
Mm-hmm.
but about 10 years ago, when I hit 40, I really just said, it's time to dial this in even more and eliminate sugar, eliminate processed foods, and really dive into the science behind fat and how your brain works, because that all goes with positive thinking. So it's
Mm-hmm.
great just to say, think positive. Well, yeah, Sue, that's great, but I'm stuck in depression or I'm stuck in poor health. And what's the root of that? The root is what you're putting in your mouth. And if you can realize that, if I can help people realize you literally are what you eat,
Eat.
hmm, let's just notice what was on your plate yesterday and how you're thinking today.
Today.
And can you see that correlation? So that's what it means for me. And I love motivating people to see that connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like that you having that is that 80 and 80-20 rule,
Mm-hmm.
20-80 rule.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Denise Stigall, she also shared something like that. And
Mm.
beautiful.
Yeah. We're
Thank
soul
you.
sisters. We
Yeah.
are, I mean, so much alike when it comes to that. Like the people that I have met and been exposed to, right? They gravitate towards one another. So I will say, if you are a healthy deviant like me, that's it's a great book by Pilar. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her last name, Gassimo. Um, she wrote this book, and when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm the person. I'm the person in the group of friends who, if I'm deciding not to drink because I'm working on a big project and I don't want to drink on Friday night because Saturday morning I have to get up and work on a big project
Mm-hmm.
and I want my brain to be optimal, I'm used to people making fun of me for that. And I don't care. I've just gotten to the point where, look, I got to do me. And if me not eating a cheeseburger
Like that.
and having 2 glasses of wine at this party or out to dinner is going to bother you, I don't really care. I don't, I have to work tomorrow and I want my brain to be its best self.
Because you know yourself and you know what is good
Yeah.
for you and you have a choice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So you also talked about digital detoxification. What
Mm-hmm.
is all that about?
Oh, well, it's something I've been working on for 2.5 years, and it was inspired by another book. I'm a big reader, as you can see
Mm-hmm.
in back of me. This book called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. And he researches and has done numerous different lectures at different universities about digital minimalism. And I took a class with him, and it really just sparked something 2.5 years ago that I don't have to have all these notifications on my phone going ding, 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 ding all day. Um, I don't have to listen to that. And I just got back from vacation. I'll give you the perfect example of digital minimalism. I was on vacation for 5 days, Sunday through yesterday, and I have not checked email since Saturday.
Ooh.
And I got up this morning, and you would think there'd be some anxiety about, oh my God, there's
Yes.
probably 700 emails in my email inbox. Nope, I don't care. I don't care. And
Wow.
it's liberating. It is literally, there is nothing in that inbox that is so important. All of my clients, I have 26 clients right now. They all knew I was going away.
Right.
If there was an emergency, they could text me.
Right.
And they haven't. Okay, we're good.
Sure.
I was away with my son and my husband. No need to carry the phone with me. This is, I mean, to spend a day floating in a lake, sitting on the beach, reading a book about mindfulness without my email going ding, 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 Facebook Messenger, all. No, the phone was at home in the house.
Wow.
And wow.
Discipline.
Well, it does take a little bit of discipline in the beginning.
It does.
It does.
It does.
I think the most common thing that my clients say about it is that it causes a little bit of anxiety in the beginning. And we start off small. Like,
Sure.
Look, you don't have to start off like me, only checking email once a day and, only having certain work hours where you look at your phone. No, you don't have to start off like that. You can just start off with mindfully noticing how many times a day you pick up your phone. How many times a day do you unconsciously, like right now, I would have to look around. I'm not quite sure where my phone is right now, that's amazing. How many people can, but so I'm going to pick up my mouse. Like, how many times a day do you pick up your phone and you look at it and you go, you weren't even doing anything. So how many times a day do you physically touch your phone when you don't know what else to do, when you're bored, or when you're feeling distracted, or you're feeling unsure? Do you reach for that to really disconnect from your own thoughts and get into somebody else's world on social media? Maybe. So that would be the first step that I would encourage everyone to do. For one day, count how many times you reach for your phone and you pick it up without an intention. Oh, I have to text my son. You're reaching for it with an intention.
Right.
How many times do you reach for it without an intention? And then send me a message and let me know how many times. Some people are 50. Some people are 100. I've had a couple people up in the 400, 500 times a day range.
Wow.
When they reach for the phone with no intention. And face it, if you have a business, you have to do social media. I have to. Right? It's just part of doing what I do.
What you do.
But I can decide to do it with intention once a day for 20 minutes. Make a post in my group, do a quick Facebook Live, respond to comments, done, off.
Whew. I'm in line for that.
All right.
Yes.
But start off small with just the awareness of how often you're reaching for the phone. And then decide whether you need those notifications on or not.
Wow. That's huge.
I mean, we're so bombarded
today with all this, our phone. That's all we do. Man, that is huge. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a really big statistic that stood out for me that my coach shared with me about 100 years ago. We had as many inputs, meaning information, come into our brain in 1 year as we do now in one day.
Ooh,
And
look at it.
wow. So our brains really haven't evolved to catch up with the amount of information overload that we are constantly bombarded with. So it's no wonder, as a human society as a whole, we feel anxious, overwhelmed, stressed. It's because our brains weren't evolved. They haven't caught up with the amount of information that we are constantly bombarded with. And if you go back 500 years ago, it would take an entire lifetime of information to amount to what we get now in one day.
Definitely.
So social comparison alone is enough to stress, overwhelm, and make people anxious.
Whew. Thanks, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. You have shared lots of insights.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you.
packed. And the one thing I will go on now to ask you about is, you say in time of stress or pressure, you're quiet, solitude and breathing. Yeah. We've heard you talk about, being, solitude, just being by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what type of breathing techniques do you like really employ to be able to get back to where you want to, or to navigate that time of stress or when you have that pressure?
I think my personal favorite
Mm-hmm.
is daydreaming. It's something I did and used to get in trouble for when I was a child in school. So I was a little bit of a rebel when I was a kid. I definitely had my own ideas of what school and learning should be like.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't what I was receiving in, I want to say sometime around 5th, 6th grade. I wanted to be in nature. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be where the trees were. And I found myself sitting in class whenever I got bored, staring out the window. And the teacher would call on me trying to stump me, you know. So, and it was history in particular, which I was great at. And the teacher would see me staring out the window, like, just in like a zone. And he would call on me and ask me a question, and I would turn my head and answer the question. And it made him so angry that I was actually listening, but I was off outside somewhere. And it's still to this day my favorite type of meditation because it calms me. So my office here is a big sunroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll open a blind so I can't see any other houses. I could just see the trees and the sky. And I will literally just watch the trees move in the wind, watch a bird land on a tree, and just listen to my breath. That's it. And just make that breath audible.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you are doing that, when you are listening to your breath, whether it's with earphones in so you can kind of hear your breathing, or whether you just put your hand on your chest and feel your breathing, you cannot ruminate on negative thoughts. You cannot obsess about what you have to do next because you're counting the breath. Or sometimes I'll do a box breathing technique, which is a Navy SEAL calming breathing technique where you envision a box as you breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And that just instantly stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, to calm down, slow down. And I'll do that 3 or 4 times a day for 1 minute.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And what would you say to somebody who have been listening to us right now,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still in that space of, I don't think I can do that. They still have like that low self-esteem. They still like have that doubt. They're still like, I don't know, what would you say to them right now?
I would take a nice deep breath and say, if this is what you need, if you need to have that zest and energy for life and that focus for your business and that love to give to your family all at the same time, all in the same day, all in the same hour, the first thing that needs to happen is you need to be more connected to yourself. And once you have that mind-body connection, amazing things can happen with your business, with your person. You'll notice physical changes in your body. You become stronger, fitter, you look younger, you feel more energized. So if that's what you need, you know you need it when you need it, right? You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I would challenge anybody to say, you know what your kryptonite is. Is it candy? Is it sugar? Is it alcohol? Is it lack of exercise? You know what it is. And then you just have to be ready to say, I'm more important than, and I love talking about myself in the third person. Suzanne is more important than a glass of wine or social media or my business, posting on Facebook. Like, Suzanne is worth more than that. And that has to come first.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to your 21 years old self?
I love this one. First thing I would say is, don't marry him. Then I would say, realize that you're happiest when you're in nature and when you're surfing or snowboarding or breathing fresh air, and make your career something that involves that. And my first career choice when I was 7 did involve that. But I was told I couldn't be that. And now it's interesting that it's part of what I do. So it's really, it's interesting that it's part of what I do.
Right. That is amazing. That is amazing. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share? I know you've packed us, but any final thoughts for us today?
I would say, if you're struggling at all with embracing who you are as a person, as a woman, as a man, if you're just in that place where you're feeling not good enough, not worthy, too fat, too old, too this, too that, whatever that story is, realize that it's all a story that maybe was told to you by somebody else, maybe you made it up yourself. It's a story that can be rewritten. and it can be changed. Just like I changed the story of the day my mother passed away, change the story to fit what I wanted it to mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
So even an abusive relationship, what do I want that to mean for me? I could let it mean something negative, or I could let it mean I was strong enough to walk away and recognize when another woman is going through that. Awesome.
Yeah. Amazing.
And
Amazing.
I love flipping that for people.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Truly
Right.
one of the joys of life is helping somebody flip that story.
That story. It's been a pleasure talking with you, having this great
Thank you.
conversation for an hour. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure that many, many more will enjoy it because the energy, the delivery comes from that peaceful place and with such genuineness and vulnerability. So
Thank
that
you.
makes everyone like really relate to it, relating to that humanness. And all I can say to listeners, to viewers is take this at heart and make it yours, something that will help you move forward. Why? Because there is help and there will always be help. At the bottom of this episode, I will have Susan's contact information. Those of you who want to reach her, you want to get to her, it's very easy. The description box will have her information. Feel free and don't hesitate to take that step.
Yeah.
Take that initiative. You've seen or you've heard her, how she was so like in tune with her intuitive self. So don't say, I will do this later. Don't say, I will do this tomorrow. It is that time to take your power back. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much,
Thank you for having me.
Susan, for being here with us. We love you and thank you for sharing from your heart.
Absolutely.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to spend this wonderful time with you.
Mine too.
Thanks. Thank you.